Admin. Take it away, Annie.
Good morning. I have myself, Annie Cathy, Andrew Chorney, Anna Conley, Ann Hughes, Jason Emery, Jason Hauser, just moved on me, Jason Hauser, John Hart, Kyla Leonards, Melissa Fisher, Shane Stack, Violet Plummer, Connor McCauley, Martin Kidston, MCAT, and Michael Wilhon, and Paul Greibstein. And did I miss anybody else? And it looks like in admin 206, we have Josh, Juanita, Dave, Chris, and Sarah Bell. Anybody
Correct.
else?
No, it's great.
Thank
Is
you.
there- Thank you. Any public comment on items not on the agenda? Not seeing any. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move that.
I will second it.
Any further comment? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Kyla with reappointment for the tax appeal board.
Morning, Commissioners. Jim Fairbank's term expires March 31st, 2022. He submitted a letter of interest and is eligible to continue serving. We had no new applicants for the board, so the motion would be to reappoint Jim to a new 3-year term through March 31st, 2025 to the Tax Appeal Board.
I would move that we reappoint Mr. Fairbanks.
I'll second that.
Any further comment? They're a fantastic, hardworking board.
I remember when we met them at the park. They were really engaged and very into what they do. I took it super seriously.
Well, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Cindy Kennedy.
Yes, good morning. So I'm requesting that the board authorize the chair to sign an agreement between Missoula County and the Montana Department of Commerce for a Montana Coal Endowment Program planning grant to partially support the costs of a preliminary engineering report for the old Hellgate Village wastewater improvement project. Would you like me to say more about that project?
I just need a little help with location. I'm not sure I know where that is.
So it is at 6125 Mullen Road. So there's a coffee kiosk out there and a
Oh, okay.
It's like a convenience store way out there.
Okay.
yes. And there's some storage shed or storage units there, which the coffee kiosk and the storage, the loose caboose, lost the name of it. Loose caboose and the storage units are also part of the property as well. And there's actually 2 trailer courts out there, but this is the old Hellgate Village that's interested in potentially becoming a resident-owned community. They're still discussing that. So until I think that happens, I don't know that anything's going to move on this, but because they have to come up with the other half of the cost of the preliminary engineering report. The grant only covers half of it.
Okay, and how much, I'm not looking at the packet. How much is it?
It's estimated, the PER is estimated to cost $27,800.
Okay.
How big an area are we talking about?
There are 36 lots. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
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 Great. Was there?
I would,
35. There are 35 homes.
Okay.
I move we have the authorized chair to sign this.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for helping them.
Hey, there is one small typo we might want to correct on the RCA. It currently reads Old Hellgate Village water system. And I think you meant wastewater. So
Oh, good. Aye. Dave.
just for future generations who might be reading this, they might wonder what the water system is.
Yeah, it's wastewater. Thank
Okay.
you for catching that.
It's excellent.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. John Hart.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have a couple of action items for you this morning. The first one is a subdivision improvements agreement and guarantee for Stillwater's on the Clark Fork #3 subdivision. And this is for phases 6 through 12 of this major subdivision. This subdivision, you may be familiar with its location, but for the public, it is in the area, the intersection of Kona Ranch Road and Mullen Road. And the first 5 phases have already been platted. The developer is now ready to file the final plat for phases 6 through 12, which will complete platting of the subdivision. There are quite a few public improvements that remain to be completed. They include the roadway, curb and gutter, sidewalk, trail systems, stormwater drainage, sanitary sewer main, and dry utility extensions.
They got all of it. What other infrastructure is left? I think they got it all there.
The
I would
helipad.
be,
The helipad, they've taken care of the helipad.
I would be hard pressed to tell you what is in place, but as soon as I'm done with my introduction for this action item, I know that we have 2 individuals from DJ&A who I asked to join this meeting who can answer those kind of questions for you. The developers agreeing to do these and complete these improvements within 12 months of the filing of the final plat. And I know the final plat will probably be filed in the next couple of weeks. So, this time next year, they are agreeing to be done. All of the remaining public infrastructure, I should point out, though, was the cost of that was reviewed by Brent O'Connor in the Public Works Department, and he approved the estimated cost, which is $2,493,763.56. And that is far and away the largest subdivision improvements agreement balance, so to speak, that I've ever brought to you in 7 years with Missoula County. It's at least twice as large as any other improvements agreement I brought to you. However, the developer, Flywater Development, has procured a letter of credit from Trail West Bank in that amount. Again, $2,493,763.56. And that letter of credit is good through February 1st of 2024. So that's, I mean, and we talked, I alluded to this improvements agreement when I came before you a couple weeks ago with some other improvements agreements. And at that time, I did sort of indicate that Missoula County will probably be initiating a process to change its subdivision regulations in the next year or two. Of course, that'll have to be approved by the commission, but the planning department does intend to change the subdivision regulations so that we will be requiring either a certain percentage of improvements in place or certain types of improvements to be completed before Missoula County will consider an improvements agreement going forward. That's something that the Montana Subdivision and Platting Act allows. It's something that most other Montana urban counties have in their subdivision regulations. So there is there's an indication to developers. We will not agree to an improvements agreement unless you've built the roads or you've completed the sewer or this, that, or the other thing. That's something that's allowed by law. Our subdivision regulations don't provide for it currently, but we're going to move in that direction for a number of reasons, and that's that you'll see that at some point in time in the future. But anyways, I've reviewed this improvements agreement. I've reviewed the letter of credit. I've talked with the attorney for the developer. I've talked to some of the individuals from DJ&A or who are on the line right now. And my recommendation is, because it's required by law, if there's adequate security, and there is in the form of this letter of credit, and otherwise the terms of this agreement are appropriate. So my recommendation is that the Board of County Commissioners approve this agreement and enter into it. But I do welcome the thoughts and observations from Mike and Paul, who are on the line this morning, if they have any to share.
Hey, John, I'm neither Mike nor Paul, but I'd love to ask you a question if you're good with that.
You bet.
So you said these developers now have 12 months in which to build all the improvements you described. Is that correct?
That is what this agreement says. They're agreeing to get these built and inspected and certified and accepted by the Missoula County Public Works Department within 12 months.
And I have no doubt they will do their absolute darndest to pull that off. I'm just wondering what happens if, because of external conditions right now, every tradesperson and their tradesperson friends are busy for forever, and the cost of materials is soaring through the roof, that there may be, what if within 12 months, despite these folks' best efforts, it doesn't work?
Then we would probably negotiate a revised agreement or an amendment to this agreement, extending the period of time that this developer has to complete the improvements. And that's why it gives me some comfort that this letter of credit has been extended to Missoula County through February 1st of 2024. That gives us, essentially 2 years to get this done and accommodate a revised or amended agreement.
Because just where we are right now, hearing that scope of work and then 12 months sounds pretty ambitious.
I think Michael's gonna explain how it's not ambitious, but the observation has brought us to this particular point.
Thank you.
Michael?
Yeah, so we have a contractor chomping at the bit right now to start work on this. I know in the past it's been tough to get contractors, but we've gone through the procurement process and they're ready. I think they were ready yesterday to start building this. So I would agree with John, though. I think there's language in the subdivision improvements agreement that allows an extension for not later than 2 years. And so we will do our best to complete it in a year, and there's going to be multiple crews working out there. And so what I've heard from the contractor, that's all I can go with is the contractor's word for it, that they could get this done in 12 months. So I'm kind of hanging my hat on that.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. And Paul, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would add is that our client is very motivated to get this work done, and not in 12 months, more like 6 or 7 months. So there is a very big push, because of how much the benefit of getting all of this infrastructure in so that he can actually sell lots is extremely important. And I just want to assure the commissioners that at least on his end, he's very motivated to get this work done in a very short time frame.
I wasn't concerned at all about the motivation of the people whose dollars are on the line here, more about access to contractors and the soaring price of materials and availability.
Yeah, and we're kind of lucky that way. We have a contractor online, and we really don't, I think he's set pretty good for even the materials for this project. Biggest part being sewer main. And there is actually quite a bit of 8-inch PVC sewer main out there. So I think we're pretty good that way. And I love your concern, though. I think it is. All of our other projects, I'd be telling you, you're spot on, because any specialty item is just horrible right now to try to procure and get it ready for construction. So.
Well, we hope it works.
I would move that we approve and sign the subdivision improvement agreement and guarantee.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, thank you very much, commissioners.
Seeley Lake Cemetery District, let's see you again.
Yep, we're switching gears. Give me a second to gather my thoughts for this next one. We're going from subdivisions to cemeteries. What I brought to you this morning, commissioners, is a trust agreement between the Seeley Lake Cemetery District Board and First Interstate Bank. And the agreement that you have has been signed by Barbara Knopp, who is the board chair of the Seeley Lake Cemetery District. And First Interstate Bank has not signed it yet, and I will explain why. Let me give you some background about cemetery districts. Just indulge me a little bit. The Seeley Lake Cemetery District has been around since, I think, the 90s or the late 80s. They have a lovely cemetery that is to the east of the highway as you're you go past the game refuge in Harper's Lake in that area, just before you hit the curves and head towards Salmon Lake. It's a very nice cemetery. And all of the folks of the Seeley Swan area pay an assessment on their property taxes to have that cemetery there. And the assessments that they pay on their property tax bill goes towards running the cemetery, the day-to-day. They have some employees. They obviously have groundkeepers up there. They have some expenses in equipment and fertilizer and irrigation and those kinds of things. And the assessments go towards maintaining the shed there and the building, the gazebo, things like that. And as far as we know, the assessments are adequate to keep the cemetery operating. And the day-to-day operations of the cemetery are run by this board, and you appoint the board members to oversee that. There is also in our cemetery district statutes a requirement that there be a permanent care and maintenance trust fund established for any local government cemetery. And you think about it, and it makes sense that somebody buys a lot and has their, is buried in a cemetery, or the family member buries somebody in a cemetery. You're expecting that plot is going to be, maintained in some adequate fashion, literally forever. And so what happens if whether it be a profit or nonprofit cemetery, or in this case, a local government cemetery, what happens when it goes kaput? There needs to be a fund of money there that will permanently maintain that cemetery. And that's why the legislature set up this separate permanent care and maintenance fund to maintain this particular cemetery district, and all others for that matter. The status, and there has to be a separate board of trustees that oversees that permanent care and maintenance fund by statute. And currently, all of the trustees for Seeley Lake have either resigned or died. And they've had a great deal of difficulty trying to recruit individuals who would want to be trustees. But the statute allows a bank to be a trustee. And having a bank as a trustee solves the issue of individual trustees who have to be bonded and have to have other fiduciary standing in order to be trustees on this board. So in working with the Seeley Lake Cemetery Board, we decided that it might be prudent to find a bank to be a trustee of this permanent care and maintenance fund. And we inveigled Brent Weber at First Interstate Bank to agree to be the trustee for this pot of money. But Brent said, look, we got to have a trust agreement before my bank is willing to do this. And this is the trust agreement that we negotiated with First Interstate Bank. And I'm recommending that you enter into this agreement. And if you do, and if you approve it on behalf of the cemetery board, the next step here is, by statute, it is a district court judge who appoints the trustee for this maintenance fund. So if we will then take this trust agreement to the district court and ask them, and the board will nominate First Interstate Bank as a trustee, the sole trustee of the fund, and we will ask the district court to appoint First Interstate Bank. If the district court does that, then First Interstate will also enter into this trust agreement, but not before. So that's a lot of background. I apologize for taking so much time here. It's a very interesting process. It's been a long time coming, and working with this cemetery board and Mary Ellen Stube and others on the board, but we're getting there.
How large is this fund?
I think they have rough.
Home improvements agreement. I'm guessing.
Well, no, I think they roughly have about $20,000. And I should have mentioned that the money that goes into this fund is the money that somebody pays to buy a lot in the cemetery. By law, that money is required to go into this fund. Now, they also can take, donations. Family members can say, they can throw some money in, but I think the bulk of this has come from people purchasing lots at the cemetery. And there's a lot of lots available at this cemetery, so there will be money going into this trust account for years to come.
Sounds like a good development.
Yeah, thanks.
Especially given the other folks are retired or not otherwise available.
I know Dave has to leave very soon.
Yes.
3 minutes.
But Shorty has a hand up.
Just real quick, will this apply to the other cemetery districts we have, like Florence Carlton Cemetery District? Do they have one of these things in place? John, do you know?
Andrew, they don't have a separate permanent care and maintenance fund. The Florence Carlton Cemetery, which has been around for about 100 years, is a work in progress. And that's another cemetery district that we will try to work with and bring them into the 21st century too.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for that background.
All right, I would move that we approve the trust agreement.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion or public comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
I've got to go meet with Granite County Commissioner,
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
All aboard.
all aboard.
Yeah, that is great. Slotnick is showing pictures of our
Cult movies.
cult movies, yes. Shane Stack.
All right.
And we'll do it, Phil.
Yeah, I got a handful of items. We'll run through the first one. On the agenda item is a new interlocal agreement or an interlocal agreement amendment, if you will, with the city of Missoula. We did receive a guaranteed maximum price from Hewitt on the Mullen Build project. It came in a little over 15.9 million. The independent engineer's estimate on that was 2.4% higher. So essentially what that means is the GMP is a good number from our perspective. As a result, though, we still had to upgrade some budgeting numbers for funding on the local end. So the city did increase some of their road or transportation dollars, as well as some of the sewer and water funding. And then additionally, they also committed a little over $700,000 for trails that need to be constructed too as a result of the mall build project. So all in all, good news. The city's increasing their funding and we've got a good price. So really, I just need you to approve and sign this interlocal agreement.
I would move that we approve and sign the interlocal agreement.
Second, is there any further discussion, public comment?
Just say one little thing. It's so great. We're at this point, finally.
Finally, man,
This is
get it,
done.
we gotta
Yeah.
get cracking before everything
And
changes.
what Shane had pointed out, one of the hardest environments to move a large project like this forward is the one we're living in right now.
It's historic, so
Yeah.
thank you, Shane.
Yeah, thanks a ton.
Priming you for the next one. All in favor? Aye.
All right. So the next item is a fairly simple one. As we move forward into construction with the mall and build project, we want to be able to be able to react a little bit more nimbly. And so I'm just asking for the board to approve me as the public works officer to be able to approve change orders and during construction of a value equal to or less than $200,000.
I would move that we approve the change order.
Okay, this change order is the,
So this would
Length of
grant, no, yeah, so this would run for the length of the build project so that Shane can adjust.
is 200,000 enough?
So Shane and I talked about this quite a bit. So 200,000 is what we think is adequate given the scope of the project. It's usually actually significantly lower, but normally we're talking about building costs as opposed to road mile
Roads.
costs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
roads are just that much more expensive, so even more changes. So that's why the value is higher than we would normally.
Okay, so this is higher than what we would normally do.
But
And I
yeah,
was
from
like,
talking to Shane, we feel like this is the right ballpark for.
okay.
Made that motion.
Second, as to their, Martin, do you have,
Hey, yeah, just real quick, Shane, this has kind of been coming for a long time and it's gone through some fits and starts. Can you just kind of just briefly summarize what you're planning to do this summer into what part of the project?
Yeah, of course, Martin. The plan is to have a majority of the project completed by the fall of 2022 with a little bit of cleanup work as necessary in spring and summer of 2023. But essentially the scope includes two roundabouts, one at Mullen Road in George Elmer and a roundabout at Mary Jane and Mullen Road. George Elmer will be connected to England Boulevard. England Boulevard will be connected to Flynn Lane. And then Mary Jane will connect between Broadway and Mullen. Now there's some existing infrastructure in those locations, but all those connections will be made. Those connections don't exist today. Additionally, we'll have, sidewalk, curb, gutter, sewer, water, all that infrastructure is included with the scope of the project. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, Martin, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Shane.
Yep. And back to, Juan, real quick, I just wanted to add to the change order component. I don't expect a lot of change orders. One of the nice things about delivering a project through the CMGC process is that we are working with the contractor as we develop the set of plans. And so both the contractor and the owner and the engineer all are working to put the plans together in such a way that all the mistakes should be ironed out up front and we shouldn't have any surprises. But in the event we do have surprises, this just allows me to move a change order a little bit quicker rather than waiting for a Tuesday or a Thursday in the event you guys are gone, 2 weeks or something, we have to wait in order to get something moving forward. So it just is a time saver more than anything.
yep. And again, sorry, Chris, or the length, how many months is this project?
So it'll start hopefully this week. I've got 2 contracts on Thursday's agenda, and we'll discuss that in my next item. But assuming we start kind of mid-March, they would finish up probably sometime in October, November, depending on weather. And then whatever work needs to be finished up in the summer or spring of 2023, that'll get done by, I think we have to the end of June to get that work done.
Okay, that's helpful. Any more discussion, public comment? All in favor? Aye. Did you say,
Yes.
okay, Anna Connolly, thank you so much, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, I'm sorry,
Hey.
Martin, is your hand still up?
Sorry.
Okay. No worries.
Can
Sorry,
you guys
Anna.
hear me okay? All
Yeah.
right. So, as you know, we have settled the claims regarding the mass contract with DOC. And in December, we had a mediation. Arising out of that mediation in January, the county released all of its claims and dismissed its claims relative to the mass contract. And part of that agreement was that we would amend the contract between the county and the DOC with regard to the mask facility out at our detention center. So that is what is before you, is that amendment. It's pretty short. It basically changes the term of the agreement from the end of 2029 to the end of 2024. And it clarifies that we will receive our actual costs, and it does not change the number of inmates for which we receive a minimum payment per year. So this is just the final step in this resolution of these mask claims.
You mean the end of
Remember it well.
June? I mean, June, it says June 30th here, 2024, not the end of 2024.
Yep, that's correct, the end of June 2024.
Okay.
I remember it well. It was a good mediation experience.
And you got to eat Jimmy.
And poor sandwiches, but a good outcome
Amazing driving conditions.
and really intense driving conditions.
Oh. Okay, that was that your.
Yeah, I feel well versed in this and don't feel like I don't have any questions, but thank you so much for sealing the deal here. That's my motion to get this done.
Second, is there any further discussion, public comment? All in favor? Aye. Thanks so much, Anna.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, Shane, back to
Bill.
you, back to build.
Right. So yesterday we received our grant agreement amendment based on our GMP from Hewitt. Basically, they've said, go ahead and sign the amendment and return it to them at FHWA. Once FHWA signs the amendment, we essentially have a green light to sign our contracts with DJNA and Hewitt. So essentially, this is just a simple amendment to the grant agreement we already have with FHWA that references GMP numbers rather than estimated construction costs.
Easy for us to do, and hopefully FHWA will hold up their end of this and move quickly. And these guys can start working. That's my motion. Yeah,
We'll
let's
do your
approve.
definition of quickly.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's approve and sign the build grant agreement amendment.
Second, is there any discussion, comment? All in favor? Aye. Thank you
Shane,
so much. Oh, sorry, Annie.
sorry, can I just clarify, is it okay for this to be signed electronically, or do we need wet signatures?
We can sign it electronically, and Juan, I don't know if you can sign this ASAP. They asked for it back by noon today, so if you guys can get it signed and back to me, I'll get it to FHWA.
Okay, as soon as the meeting's over, I'll send it Juan's way.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you so much, Annie. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Correspondence? Sarah?
Nothing.
Okay. Discussion items? Events and invitations? Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Drive safely out there.